In this episode, Golden and I discuss Season 1 of the new HBO comedy Avenue 5. Full speed ahead. Welcome to the Omega Beam number 75. I'm your host, Oren Merton. I hope you're all safe and healthy and hanging in there. You know, sometimes you want an epic, fully immersive watch, and sometimes you just want to watch something short and fun. We just finished watching Avenue 5, an HBO comedy that consists of 30-minute episodes, and that fits that second bill. So we've got our regular light spoiler warning in effect, and let's jump right in. I am here with Golden to talk about the new HBO comedy series Avenue 5. This wasn't one that we really knew anything about until we saw the HBO little promos before other shows. But it looked fun.
It looked kind of quirky.
Yeah. So going into it, I think both of us loved both Hugh Laurie and Josh Gad in other things they've done. They've been very funny. Hugh Laurie.
I'm more familiar with Hugh Laurie than I am with Josh Gad.
Josh Gad, yeah, he's been in some Disney. He's been in some comedies before this, and he was, I think, in Frozen. Or am I thinking of the wrong one? No, I think it was Frozen. But I know he's been in some of those films as well. And Hugh Laurie, of course, I've loved Hugh Laurie since Blackadder.
He's Olaf in Frozen.
Olaf, okay, good. Whew. Okay. So, and I've loved Hugh Laurie since the British comedy series Blackadder, and he's been in Laurie and Fry with Stephen Fry, and he's been in a ton of stuff.
I'm more familiar with him from House.
Yeah, from House. And I know that his American accent from House is amazing. And one of the fun things about Avenue 5 is they really play with that because he's playing a British character, playing an American character, and so in show,
he's playing a British character who's pretending to be American.
Right, who's pretending to be American. So he will flip accents in the middle of the same sentence. And, you know, Hugh Laurie does it amazingly, expertly, and it is very funny when it happens because obviously it's done for comedic effect, specifically. For those who aren't familiar with the show, the premise is basically that there is a space cruise ship in the future, and something goes horribly wrong. And
well, here's the IMDb.
Okay.
The troubled crew of Avenue 5, a space cruise ship filled with spoiled, rich, snotty space tourists, must try and keep everyone calm after the ship gets thrown off course into space and ends up needing 3 years to return to Earth.
So it's obviously set up a interesting premise, and I think that's what I liked about the show, that it may not have been the most original idea in the sense that we've seen, you know, the things knocked off course before. We've seen that kind of, you know, in a sense we're kind of like Gilligan's Island.
So this is a very light spoiler. Like you find this out in the first episode.
Okay.
But it basically, you find out that, yeah, this is all going wrong. And of course, who do you look to? You look to the captain. Well, the captain's just a face man.
Right.
And you find out that, well, that's kind of the entire thing, you know. The crew that you can see is just like the faces.
Yeah, it's handled very well, and they do some interesting stuff. They've got a great cast, you know. We've already talked about how much we love Hugh Laurie. Josh Gad is great as kind of the rich, spoiled owner of the entire franchise who doesn't really know what he's doing and expects everything to just happen.
And I love the Billy character by Lenora Critchlow. She's very entertaining.
Absolutely. Zach Woods, whom I adored as Jared in the HBO series Silicon Valley, here plays the head of customer relations for Avenue 5. And he plays this kind of just existentially nihilist customer relations guy who's going through his own problems, and he does it so well, and it's not what you expect from a customer relations guy, which makes it all the more amusing and interesting and off the wall. These are short episodes. I think there are only 8 episodes, and they're half an hour each. So it's a short series. They're all available on HBO for streaming or viewing if you get it on the cable channel. And am I mistaken in thinking that HBO is letting people view things for free these days, or some?
I'm not sure. I was just having a flashback of the comedian in front of the one of the windows,
right?
And he's trying to do his comedy show, and things are happening behind him that are not quite as comedic, but there's this they really play a lot with all these just different things, and these shitty things keep happening to them, and it's just, how do you deal with it?
Exactly. And this is not a deep epic contemporary show that's going to go into the problems of the modern world or anything like that. This is just kind of really zany fun, but they do manage to hit on some things. There's one episode where one of the major plot lines was kind of making fun of conspiracy theorists. And I don't want to go into exactly what the conspiracy theory was and how it played out, because that's the episode. But, especially now when we're dealing with people who have their own crazy crackpot theories about what's happening in the world today, I think obviously they filmed this before the whole coronavirus shelter-in-place thing, but it's particularly relevant. So I do think it does, in some ways, try to be relevant, but it's not that kind of show in general.
I don't know if this one is available. It might be through your cable subscriber if you can just get HBO for a month.
Yeah.
I know that HBO, if you do a quick search, HBO and AMC are doing some shows free.
Okay.
But it may not be. I think for HBO, I think it's more of their older shows.
Okay. Plus, I have no idea how it's being handled outside the United States.
Yeah, I mean, if you are looking for a show that is just a little bit of, I don't even want to say a roller coaster, but if you've ever been to Disneyland or one of those parks that has those rides that all of a sudden it makes a left, or all of a sudden it makes a right, or it goes around in a circle, and it's just kind of, and you just kind of aren't sure where it's going to go next, even though you think you know. And just kind of like something pops up in front of you. It's just that type of, it's a ride.
Yeah.
It's a really fun ride. And I mean, I still have some questions about some things. Mm-hmm. There is something that happens towards the end regarding the Rov character. Mm-hmm. And I'm still curious about the timing on that. You have Ethan Phillips, who plays a character who says he's very familiar with space, which I think is just in itself a nice little joke, seeing that he's spent time on a space station or spaceship.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's been on space stations too, but
he's been on quite a Voyager.
Yeah.
Ba-dum-bump.
But so it's, that in itself is kind of funny that, they poke fun at that. They poke fun at a lot of little things, which is just really wonderfully done. That comes towards the...
I think that they also do a good job for a show that only has 8 half-hour episodes of giving depth to the characters, which is not necessarily the easiest thing because there isn't a ton of time. So I appreciate that, all credit to the writers.
How many episodes?
I think there's only 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, there's 9.
9.
I'm sorry.
There were 10.
I was off by 1. Well, then we were both off by 1.
Both off by 1.
So there's 9 episodes, but they're 9 good episodes. There's no loser episodes in the bunch. And it also means if you're looking to just sort of waste a day, they're only half-hour episodes. So 9 episodes is what, 4.5 hours of you? It's like a, afternoon.
Are they a full half hour?
Yeah. Well, that's a good point because if you don't sit through the credits or whatever, because the end of there's no after credit scenes. There's just next week on, so it's probably less if you don't want to sit there and watch the whole thing at the end. It's probably 20 some odd minutes, but Yeah, it's time well spent. We're looking for ways to enjoy our time, and it's good to laugh. It's a good laugh. It does have good writing. The special effects, we have to talk about the special effects because it is a space show. They're fine. They're absolutely fine.
Well, most of it takes place inside the spaceship,
Right. And you mentioned an episode, again, I don't want to give spoilers away, but that episode you talked about the whole question of space, they even make fun of the budget in a way.
Yes.
And so it's one of those things where it's both self-aware and completely like in its own world. So it's not all just winking at you and meta and whatever, but there is some of that if you look for it.
So if you're feeling a little stuck at home,
yeah,
this is a good one to show to see what it would be like if you were looking at being stuck on a spaceship with a whole bunch of other people for possibly 3 years.
Exactly. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. It's nice when things, just short, fun series. It was renewed right after it aired. It finished airing, I think, in February. And almost as soon as it was over, HBO said it's renewed for a second season. All right. Well, thank you, Golden.
You are welcome.
And that's it for this episode. You can find the show notes at theomegabeam.com/75. If you like this episode, please leave a review in the Apple Podcasts app or wherever you listen to podcasts. These reviews help people who like this kind of stuff find our podcast. If you have any comments or suggestions, please drop us a line at info@theomegabeam.com. Be good to yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you next time.